everybody, so I did 2 videos on how to pack for a vacation, which I did when I was packing for my honeymoon to Italy, and I had so many of you guys asking me questions about how I planned my trip abroad and kind of tips and tricks about when I was over there. So I thought I would just make a video kind of explaining to you how I planned my trip, one, and then also some tips and tricks when you are overseas. So first thing, when I was planning my trip, I know that I got super overwhelmed when I was first planning and I was looking for a booking agent, and a bunch of people laughed at me and said, why do you need a booking agent? You have the internet. And so I kind of had to figure this all out on my own. So the first thing that I did was I got Italy by Rick Steves, and Rick Steves is like the man when it comes to travel. He makes books on like every country you can think about or you can think of, and there's a lot of really helpful just general travel information in here. The other thing that I did was make a spreadsheet, which you can see here, and it just kind of detailed out where we wanted to go, what we wanted to see, kind of the times and the days and the costs of everything, so that I had everything in one place. So when we went, I printed it out and I just had everything organized in one place. I'm a crazy organizer. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the country you are going to does not need you to have a travel visa. Italy did not. Australia is one of the countries that does. So just check and see with the Visa Bureau which countries do and do not need visas, because that's something you will have to apply for, and some types of visas take a while to get and some you can get right then and there. So check with that, and then also make sure that you have a passport. Passports right now, the processing time is 4 to 6 weeks unless you get it expedited. So if you need a passport, definitely be sure to apply for that with plenty of time before your trip. And you also want to make sure you apply for it with plenty of time to also then apply for your visa, because when you apply for your visa, they're going to ask you for your passport number. So then you want to book your flight. I booked my flight almost a year in advance to go to Italy because it was the cheapest. The best thing to do when you're booking a flight is either give yourself a ton of time to book, like a year plus, or book super last minute, like within the month that you're gonna leave. I recommend doing a year plus because I like to have everything planned, but if you are a last minute traveler, you can definitely wait till the last minute. You're gonna get the best deals doing it that way. Also, booking on a Tuesday is when you get the lowest prices, because over the weekend is when the airlines plan to sell a certain amount of tickets, and when they don't sell those, they lower the prices to get rid of the ones that they were trying to sell over the weekend. So Tuesdays are the day to book. Be really careful with booking websites like Kayak or Priceline or Cheap Tickets. I originally booked our flights through Kayak and it was an absolute disaster. I almost had a credit card canceled. I was flagged for fraud. They double charged me. It was awful. So I went straight to Air Canada, which was who Kayak was having me book through. I think it was like $100 more expensive per ticket, and it was totally worth the headache. So if you can avoid the discount sites, it's so much easier. The thing that sucks is when you book through those sites and you have any question or you need seat changes or any of that, if you call the airline, they can't help you because they don't actually physically hold those tickets. So be really careful with that. So the next thing that I did was planned my rail travel. And if you're traveling by train, either within the country you are or to other countries, it's really smart to buy your train tickets in advance. If you are in a European country, you can use Rail Europe, which is what I use to travel within Italy, but it's really cool to travel between countries, and you can pick the class of ticket that you want, and you can really book your whole itinerary on one website, and it'll give you, prices and class for each ticket. So that's was really helpful. When we were in Rome and Florence, each city had their own city pass. The Rome one was called the Roma Pass, and the Florence Pass, I think, was the Firenze Pass. I think that's what it was called. But basically those passes help you get to skip lines. So we skipped the lines at a lot of the big museums that had huge lines. We also got discounted tickets. We got to travel on the local trains for free. So it's a really good investment if you're going to be doing a lot of the local activities within the city that the pass offers discounts for. So check whatever city you're going to. A lot of European cities have them. So then the last thing we did was book our hotel, and I did all of our hotels on bookings.com. It was super amazing because I could look at the ratings of the hotels, I could see the reviews of the hotels, and then you can kind of see, maybe somebody gave it a 5, but that's because something that's important to them wasn't there that's not important to you. So you can really see why people are rating hotels the way that they are. It was super easy to book, and the best part was we didn't have to pay for any of the hotels until we got there. So nothing was prepaid. Some of the hotels will offer you cancellations, free cancellations, but you have to pay a little bit extra for the room on the back end. So just check out bookings.com, super awesome. The other thing I suggest is if you are trying to travel on a budget, check out bed and breakfast. They usually have really great deals where you can get at least your breakfast included. Sometimes they include dinner and lunch as well, and that's included with the room rate, and they're usually cheaper, especially in European cities, because a lot of the bed and breakfasts are just people running a bed and breakfast out of their house, so that helps with costs when you're not booking through big fancy hotels in really touristy areas. Okay, so that is how I planned my trip, and like I said, I just spreadsheeted it all out. So tips for travel internationally, which are things that we learned either while there or when we came back. First, you're going to want to get a power converter, which is just a little plug that will fit on the end of most of your electronics. It's perfect if you have a curling iron or a phone charger, a computer charger, because most of the cities, or actually all of the countries in Europe and wherever else you travel, most of the time they're power outlets are different, so our regular little 2-prong guys will not fit in their outlets. So get a converter. That's super important. Before you leave for your trip, go to the bank and get at least a couple of $100s in the currency of the country that you are going to, because you don't want to get off of the plane and have no money. And most of the currency converters in airports and train stations, their exchange rate is really high, so, or really unfavorable, so you're gonna get kind of screwed on that end. So go to a bank, like we just went to Trevor's bank, which is Wells Fargo, and we got a couple $100. You can call around if you have accounts at different banks, you can see which one has the best exchange rate. But I think we got maybe $300 converted into euros before we left. Also, before you leave, notify your credit card company and your bank that you're going to be out of the country, because if you don't and you use your cards overseas, they will put a hold on your card and you will not be able to use it, and then you will have to call your card company, and that is expensive when you are overseas if you are paying for roaming. So just let them know what country you will be in. It's super easy. They usually have a little hotline that you can call for that. Also, when you get on the airplane, what we did, put your phone, your cell phone, if you have a smartphone, into airplane mode. And airplane mode will help you from roaming. A lot of people will turn off their cell data, but their actual cell phone will still roam for phone calls. So if people try to call you, they'll come in. It's just you can't use your data. So like text messages and stuff won't come through. So if you put your phone on airplane mode, it still works with Wi-Fi. So if you have Wi-Fi in your hotel and you still want to check your emails and do like Instagram and that kind of stuff, it'll still work on airplane mode. It just won't let you use your phone. So we just did that for the whole trip, unless you guys want to pay for phone service, but if you don't, that's the way that we did it, and we didn't have any extra phone charges when we got home. Also, if you are getting money from ATMs overseas, be sure that they are official bank ATMs. A lot of the smaller ATMs, either they will steal your credit card information or they have really bad exchange rates. So if you go to an official bank, usually their exchange rates are better than if you are going to like some janky ATM in the middle of nowhere. Also, before you go, make passport copies. So just a copy of your passport of however many you have, and keep them separate from your actual passport. So what we did with our passports when we got into the hotel, every hotel we stayed at had a safe in the room, so we just kept our passports in the safe during the duration of our stay, and then the copies of our passports we kept on ourselves. So if anything happened to our actual passports, you're not stranded in a foreign country without a passport. And for the passports, when we were traveling, we got secure bags. So I had a crossbody bag made by PackSafe, and it actually has wire in the strap, so if people try to cut it and steal your bag, it's not cuttable. And it also has a material in the bag so that people can't read your passport chip through the bag. It's just a way to help with theft and identity theft when you're out there. So my crossbody I kept on me all the time, and then Trevor had a money belt which he just clipped around his body, and the only time we used that was when we were traveling between cities on trains, when we had all of our stuff with us, and we would put our passports in there, so that was actually on his physical person. Along with the copies of your passports, I also brought a copy of our whole itinerary. So every hotel we stayed at, all of our train tickets, anything that I had booked in advance, some of the museums that I had booked in advance, everything. So it was all on paper. I did have my computer, but just in case I couldn't access something, I had everything in a hard copy so that it was all there. Another thing that was super helpful is that I downloaded a translation app on my iPhone, and that helped a lot when we were trying to kind of walk around and communicate with people, or we saw a word and we didn't know what it was. It's nice to have it on your phone because then you're not kind of flipping through a book. It's easier just to type in what you're looking for. Books work too if you don't have your phone, but definitely have something that's going to help you translate the language. And finally, my last piece of advice when you are traveling is to ask about restaurant recommendations from locals. We found that the restaurants that were in the really touristy areas were not as good, and they were usually way more expensive than the restaurants that were recommended to us. If you ask the people that run your hotel or people that work at your hotel, it's the easiest way to ask a local. We got to really see kind of Italians in their atmosphere, eating and enjoying and being loud and amazing, and the food was great, the staff was awesome, and they're usually really eager to kind of describe to you what they have and show you their local drinks and all of that kind of stuff, as long as you're polite. So I hope that this was helpful. I know it was a lot of information, and I know I'm talking really fast. I was trying to pack it all in so I could get everything out. But the beauty of video is that you can rewind if you missed anything. So if you have any questions, if there's anything I missed in here that you want answered, definitely leave them in the comment box below. And thank you guys for watching. If there's any other videos you want me to do on travel, please let me know. Or just in general, please let me know. Hope you guys are good. See you on the next one.